Right, so the comeback kids recently made a video on classes in the midnight, and I thought we could take a look at that one right now together. So going over here, we can see this is the video. The title is The Best and the Worst Midnight Class Updates, Winners and the Gutted Losers. So I've been playing the alpha quite a bit myself, and I will say, I'm looking forward to see what they are saying about, like if I go back here, Enhancement Shaman. I'm really, I just picked up Enhancement today. I'm having so much fun. I've so far played a Boomkin, Demon Hunter, and Enhancement Shaman, and they're all really fun to play. Either way, let's go back to the video and see what they have to say about the class changes.
Okay, the Midnight class overhaul is here. Top to bottom, Blizzard is stripping every spec in the game of countless buttons and passives. Talent trees getting reworked. For some, this is a disaster, but for others, they seem to be thriving. In today's video, we're going to be going through the biggest winners and losers so far through midnight testing. Of course, this is the alpha, and a lot of this I'm sure is going to be changed throughout the coming months. Also, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to stick around until the end of the video to see how you can earn a free epic edition of World of Warcraft Midnight from the comeback kids. Starting up first, we have Unholy Death Knight. Now listen, this spec has been torn down and rebuilt from the ground up, and honestly, it's probably one of the biggest winners in this video. The biggest change is that Festering Wounds is completely gone. Instead of babysitting these wound stacks with add-ons, Festering Strike now just simply empowers your next Scourge Strike to summon little lesser ghouls to help you on the battlefield. Pretty much going to be the new loop. Instead of tracking these hidden debuffs, you're literally just raising an army like Demonology mid-fight. You've also got a new spender called Putrefy, which lets you sacrifice your oldest ghoul and make it explode. You pair that with some of your talents, and suddenly your diseases detonate as well for massive burst AoE. Speaking of diseases though, you're now running two of them. You have Virulent Plague, which keeps its identity with Cleave, while the new Dread Plague is a heavy single target damage over time effect. And these aren't just fire and forget abilities. Scourge Strike makes them tick faster, while Death Coil and Epidemic can actually extend their duration, so less babysitting, which is good. Army of the Dead is also back as your short 1.5 minute cooldown ability, so you're flooding the field with a bunch of ghouls, and you're using...
I think that's great, by the way. Army of the Dead being back is definitely great, and feels way more like, it feels unholy-ish, right? That's like a dog in the game. I was like, what is that barking? There's no way. There's an NPC running around with a dog chasing him. Either way, like, yeah, Army of the Dead being back is great, and feels way more Unholy-like. And so far, like, I'm not the biggest Unholy player, even on my own DK I play Frost, because it feels better, and I mean, in the War Within was better as well, especially with the Riders of Apocalypse, and also the Syndragos' Breath. But I am excited to see if Unholy can match it, or will be better in Midnight.
All these things going on to help them explode, deal damage, and more. The capstone you also have is called Forbidden Knowledge, which takes this even further. Now, while your army is active, your Death Coil and Epidemic become stronger abilities that let you unload some nice AoE or cleave damage, which is a nice little power spike moment. For some extra flavor, you also have talents like Reanimation and Unholy Devotion, which even let your putrefied ghouls that explode rise again as skeletal mages that shoot shadow bolts at enemies. It's full-blown necromancer, demonology, warlock type vibes, just in melee combat form as a Death Knight. The bottom line is that Unholy isn't the wound spec it used to be anymore. It's a proper Army of the Dead fantasy, raising ghouls, detonating them, and spreading plagues in a way that's more straightforward but still explosive.
That actually sounds really cool, by the way. That sounds really cool and right up my alley. That's what Unholy should be, by the way. And yeah, like I think that sounds really cool. I might have to try that out myself, to be fair, on the alpha and see. Because, like, seeing what the changes are is one thing. You have to play it and see how it feels as well. And how good it is. We all care about output, right? So we have to find out the changes. While they might look good, will they be playing good? And will you do good damage?
Believe it or not, now moving on to next, we have the Demonology Warlock, and this could be the most fleshed out spec I've played throughout the alpha. The whole rotation feels a bit different, but in a very good way. Before, it was every other global just being Handle Gul'dan to try to summon imps to build up for your next Tyrant window. Now, that's gone. Imps live a flat 40 seconds, and Tyrant is no longer the only thing holding your rotation together. Now you're really a true master of demons. The talent splits into two paths. One side is all about the imps and dumping them with Hand of Gul'dan, imploding them the second you reach your cap, and then letting that fuel your demonic cores so they can shoot out in explosive fashion. The other side focuses on your heavy hitters, which are your empowered Dreadstalkers, as well as your Felguard. The rotation for Demonology at this point is so fleshed out and very fluid with each other. One ability will lead you into a proc, which will then activate something else, which will then empower your demons, so on and so forth. And through all of it, you're also flooding the battlefield with a ton of demons. There is no micromanaging involved anymore. There's no more spamming Hand of Gul'dan every other global cooldown. It feels fantastic. Also, your new Apex talent is called Dominion of Argus, which juices up your Felguard and Dreadstalkers, and occasionally you summon a Dominion of Argus to come out and channel a bunch of AoE damage on an enemy, which is insane thematically. To put it simply, the bottom line, this spec is in a great spot. The pacing is solid, the rotation isn't complicated anymore, and layered with a bunch of weak auras that you need to track. All of this nails the Demon Commander fantasy better than ever. Absolutely a big win for this spec. Moving on next, we do have Elemental Shaman though. Now, Elemental is cooking right now. Blizzard trimmed the bloat without gutting this spec entirely, and things are looking great. I'd say the best part of it all is the new Voltaic Blaze ability being added to Elemental. This ability hits a bunch of enemies with Flame Shock and then supercharges your next Lava Burst to hit all enemies afflicted by that. So you're constantly having these moments where the screen is lighting up with a ton of Lava Burst, and it's very satisfying. They also combined Storm.
I will say though, Voltaic Blaze I have access to as enhancement as well. I just wanted to point that out because I have Voltaic Blaze here as well. But it doesn't give you, like as an enhancement, here you can see, it makes your next Lava Burst hit all of them, like it gives Flame Shock, right? It does the same thing for enhancement, but it generates one stack of Maelstrom Weapon, which is also kind of cool.
Elemental to be casted with Stormkeeper through a talent, and then you can also summon your Greater Fire Ellie to come out at the exact same time. You combine that with running Farseer hero talents where you have your ancestor join you in battle, and the battlefield is just filled with spirits, elementals, lava burst, and chain lightnings all over the place, so it's very thematic for elemental. The talent tree gives you two very clear-cut gameplay styles, with one leaning toward lava burst and the other one leaning more about lightning in that cleave AoE fashion. Either way, they trimmed the fat and they pruned it just enough while also giving them some flashy new toys on the alpha, and everything feels very great for elemental. Absolutely a big winner. Moving on next, we do have, surprisingly, man, Balanced Druid. I was really hoping Balance was going to get some updates, and they're finally here. The old version was all about, you know, having your uptime with your Eclipse, trying to get in that as fast as you possibly can by casting, and then spamming your Starfall as much as possible for Mythic Plus. Now, at this point, Eclipse is a button that you control. It lasts 15 seconds on a 30-second cooldown, but you can get it up to 2 charges. Instead of just scrambling to keep it rolling, you decide when you want to pop it. That means you can line it up with, you know, all the ads coming out and now they're finally grouped up, burn phases, or you just unload it when you want to feel powerful, which is cool. Mastery is also way cleaner. It no longer needs dots to do its job. Instead, it just flat out buffs your arcane and nature damage. You'll still keep Sunfire and Moonfire rolling, but now you don't feel useless if they drop for even a second. The new Ascendant Eclipse's capstone talent makes the windows even spicier. You have your first Star Surge or Starfall hit harder, crits start spreading dots for you, and just pressing the Eclipse button shoots out solar or lunar bolts for you, so the second you press your Eclipse, you're pretty much locked in, ready to go. Balance has shifted from a spec that's all about spamming Starfall to burst windows that you now control every so often. You prep with damage over time effects and your Astral Power, then you pop your Eclipse, and then you let all hell rain loose. It's a way less stressful way to play the spec and way more intentional. Very excited for Balance. Next up, even for Druid though, we do have to talk about Feral because they're getting a big shakeup in Midnight. Bleed snapshotting is pretty much gone, and they made everything a lot less complicated when it comes to your bleeds and empowering them. Blizzard even added
I feel like that right there, by the way, is basically the whole theme of Midnight so far. Make everything less complicated. They're lowering the barrier to entry to the expansion, making it way more approachable. And like, if you had to ask me to explain Midnight in one word to somebody, I would just say approachable. They are giving us stat tuning right now, so like health values go from being billions down to the 10,000s, and like hundreds of thousands as well, still at max levels, sure. But the bloat is gone, and instead of having 20 buttons to press, you have like 5 or 10, so way less buttons as well. Professions as well, taking away thaumaturgy and alchemy, replacing it with regular transmutes. They're just taking away the overcomplications that we have had in the last couple of expansions, and they're making the expansion more approachable, less complicated, more simplified.
Y indicators so that you can see your bleeds and when they're empowered, meaning that you don't need weak ores anymore, which it's going to be gone from the game anyways, so that's a W. Another big one is that blood talents is gone. This was always a pain in the ass to try to keep up, in my opinion, and it forced you into this awkward like mini game trying to get 3 different spells off, and you never knew which one you needed to press. Now you have straightforward buffs like lacerating claws and blood spattered, which makes your bleeds and bites hit way harder in a very clear way. They also picked up some new spells like Frantic Frenzy is a multi-target feral frenzy ability where you blur between enemies and slash them all at once, and then you have Chomp, which is a new bite style button that you only use when you're low on energy, which can fill out those gaps of low EPM when feral is energy starved. Numbers wise, Swipe got nerfed and Thrash got buffed, which pushes your AoE back toward bleed spreading instead of just spamming Swipe. Listen, the bottom line is that feral is shedding the whole complicated spreadsheet style of micromanagement like snapshotting and getting the blood talents and all these buffs going. All of that BS is gone. It's less perfect rotation or bust. It's more pounce, bleed, dart between targets, tear them apart. I think that's a lot better. We can all agree that we'd rather change this, and Midnight is helping them out substantially, so I'm really excited for feral for the first time in a very long time. Moving on next to a very big surprise, though. Additionally, we have the Arms Warrior. Now, we do have to be honest, Arms was in a very bad spot at the end of the War Within. It was clunky, undertuned, and you're juggling a bunch of tiny micro buffs, and it was just a pain in the ass more than anything. So when it comes to updates...
No. You can't use a Drakthir, bro, to showcase the warriors. Come on, man. Just use anything else, man, dude.
Any update could have been an upgrade for them, but Midnight has taken them very, very far into the future. The biggest win is that Colossus Smash is pretty much just Warbreaker now. Of course, you press this, everything's vulnerable, but then it also can activate sweeping strikes for you passively in one button, so you could just go right about your rotation. Mastery also got simplified too. It's straight up just deal more damage with the two-hander, and then you add in the fact that Deep Wounds is being now a passive bleed again based off crits like in Classic. Suddenly, Arms has a very clear identity now. It's slow, heavy hits that leave enemies gushing and bleeding out, which is awesome. Your sweeping strikes is cleaner. Instead of awkward uptime, you get a fixed number of empowered swings now, and Slam could even be part of your rotation now. There are some new passives that make it buff your next Mortal Strike. It can make your Slam automatically crit, and then have it even refund charges of overpowered if it does. The bottom line is that Arms went from probably one of the weakest specs in the game to having one of the biggest glow-ups in Midnight so far. Very excited for some of their new utility,
really that bad?
All these new talents, and they have a really nice class theme.
Was Arms really that bad in the War Within? I don't recall it being that bad, but maybe I'm stupid.
Which is just swinging a giant two-handed hammer and hitting people as hard as possible. Now, if Blizzard had a poster child for the class pruning thing...
Yes, dude, Enhancement Shaman. Oh, please, let me hear it. Let me hear what you think about Enhancement. Give me the ratings, give me everything. Because, like, for me, I've been low. I'm loving Enhancement Shaman right now. That being said, we do have way less buttons to press, but thank God, dude. Because in the War Within and Dragonflight and every expansions, there's been too many buttons. It's the one reason why I don't want to play a Shaman. There's just way too many buttons to press, and they're all relevant. Now there's way less. There's still a lot, but there's way less.
I think Enhancement Shaman would be that spec. It was a spec that was overloaded with random utility, buttons, awkward damage fillers, but finally that trims this spec down, this expansion, where your damage is now back to being about Storm Strike and Lava Lash. You also have a brand new talent called Ride the Lightning that makes you cast free chain lightnings in AoE when you use these abilities. Not only is the damage really impactful, of course, but visually, it's really awesome. They also rework Crash Lightning to have it give you multiple effects after you cast it, which feel way better. And then Voltaic Blaze is here permanently on your bars, and it's not going anywhere. So no more trying to spread flame shocks. You just press Voltaic Blaze, forget it, and move on to your damage. On top of that, one of my favorite changes is that your weapon imbuements actually matter matter. They deal pretty good damage, and with the addition of Sundering and Primordial Storm being combined into one button, it's a nice bursty 1-2 punch combo in AoE that feels very nice. The bottom line is that Enhancement still has all of the awesome visuals that it had before, but
Fun factor 9 out of 10, glow up 10 out of 10, fantasy 8 out of 10. I agree with all of this, by the way. I would even possibly take the fantasy up to a 9 or possibly even 10. I don't know why fantasy is 8 out of 10. Maybe like, I don't know. Fun factor though, I would probably, like, for me it's a 10 out of 10, bro, and everything. I don't know. I love Enhancement so far.
they cut down everything substantially. They trimmed the fat. They made it a spec that feels good to go about its rotation yet again. It feels like older Enhancement Shaman rather than a Fury Warrior copy-paste where you're just spamming things left and right. Really excited for Enhancement in the future. Moving on next now, we actually have to talk about Frost Mage because surprisingly, it's in a really good spot in Midnight so far. Blizzard has rebuilt this spec top to bottom with a brand new freezing and shattering system, and it solves a lot of Frost's old problems. The loop is pretty simple. You use your abilities to stack freezing, and you use Ice Lance to consume the stacks and shatter them to explode. So from a very basic core standpoint, you build freezing, you shatter them with Ice Lances. They also took out Icy Veins and replaced it with Ray of Frost, which interacts with their Apex talent really well, where it summons these Hands of Frost that come out from the ground and slam onto enemies. Visually, very, very cool stuff. It's something I've never seen in WoW before, so it's really awesome. And then the talent tree got overhauled as well. For example, Glacial Spike is built into Frostbolt now, where you occasionally get to use it. You get to summon your Water Elemental again, which is awesome. And the entirety of the tree is just so much.
But when it's nerfed, Water 18, then no, stop it, bro. Shaman is not being nerfed. It's going to be the best class in Midnight, okay? Trust.
More straightforward and easy to understand than ever. For example, you have a couple talents like Comet Storm and Fractured Frost that allow you to cleave very naturally without these awkward setups, and this whole new shatter system fixes Frost's like biggest weakness in my opinion, which was bad scaling at high target scenarios. Now you build up these stacks, shatter them with Ice Lance, everything AoE pops and explodes. Very, very nice. The bottom line is that Frost is a very simple caster now in the new expansion. Easy core loop with way less button bloat and a tree packed with a ton of meaningful choices, so the variety is absolutely there in terms of builds. And then lastly, for our tank winner, I would say the for sure surprising one had to be Blood Death Knight. For a long time, Blood DK.
This right here is my favorite tank spec, by the way, so I'm happy to see it on the winner list. Let me see what they have to say and how Blood DK plays. It's my favorite tank by far.
Has had this awkward like setup tax where you felt really weak when you'd first get into a pack. You'd have to get your bone shield up and running and then get all your other buffs and things going like Dancing Rune Weapon. Blizzard admitted that it was clunky, so they cut it. Your damage is now back into your core abilities instead of being locked behind layers of ramp like Shattering Bone. To balance it out though, Death Strike healing got trimmed, but you're tankier through Bone Shield, armor, and passive damage reduction. So instead of spiking drastically, blood should, I will say, emphasize, should feel more smoother. Some of the new abilities to back this whole thing up is Lifeblood. It adds a small heal over time effect to every time you Death Strike. Deadly Reach makes Heart Strike cleave, and then you have Blood Mist, which turns Dancing Rune Weapon into a parry aura that also pumps your runic power. My favorite thing though has to be Consumption getting reworked. Now it's an empowerment channel that reduces incoming damage and then pops to explode all of your blood plagues in AoE, which is really, really awesome. The bottom line is that blood is no longer about fragile, sort of spiky ramping. It's more steady, reliable sustain with a few new abilities and toys to mess with. A much healthier place for the spec. Moving on next, we do have our winner healer being the Holy Paladin. Now, like a lot of other healer specs in the game, they're getting substantially trimmed. The spec had turned into a mess of mini cooldowns, filler talents, button bloat. Blizzard decided, hey, we're going to cut all this shit out for healers, cut out a lot of the fat, and leave the core abilities and make them feel impactful. Now, with Holy Paladin, Light of Dawn is a perfect example. No more awkward cone that misses half your group or raid. It's now a circle heal around you, which makes it way easier to land in the middle of those hectic fights. The new Apex talent, also Beacon of the Savior, is a big upgrade. It automatically attaches to whoever's lowest on health, and it redirects your healing onto them, and even drops a small absorbed shield to them, which is nice as well. Other changes to round this all out as well include Aura Mastery will feel like a proper cooldown again and juiced up with talents like Ringing of the Heavens, and then your Seraphic Barrier talent lets your core healing abilities also shield allies, which is really nice. Listen, the bottom line with Holy Paladin is that they lost the fluff and gained probably a lot of clarity through their core abilities, healing substantially more, while also giving them all your allies absorb shields being attached to them. That way, it leads into that theme of Beacon being a big part of the spec, which it should be, and your cooldowns actually feeling like proper healing cooldowns when you use them, which is really exciting. Okay, moving on now into the losers. These are specs that aren't doing too great in terms of changes. Remember, this has nothing to do with the numbers right now, just simply gameplay design and feel, as well as maybe these specs getting pruned a little bit too much. Starting off with the very first one, by far the worst spec on the alpha that I've tested, is the Fire Mage. To put it simply, I do not like where Fire Mage is heading in Midnight. It used to be all about that machine gun sort of pyroblast flame strike thing where you're exploding the battlefield constantly, but now at this point, Blizzard in Midnight is slowing them way, way, way down. And while I think it could be good in theory to slow them down, right now, it feels like they hammered this thing way too hard. Phoenix Flames is completely gone from the game.
Both my specs have still not been mentioned. Oh, what specs are those, man? Seeing fire being bad, by the way, oh man, it's my favorite mage spec as well, dude. It is.
Which means no more steady crits for Hot Streak.
But also, why did they slow down everything? I feel like fire should be the fast-paced mage spec. You just run around, click fire spells, boom, 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 boom. Living flame, living flame, living bomb, living bomb, living bomb. Dragon's breath, meteor, flame strike, pyroblast, boom, boom, boom. I don't know.
In exchange for that, all your heavy hitters like Pyroblast, Flame Strike, and Meteor, they hit a lot harder. Not only that, your combustion windows are supposed to be a lot scarier now, and you deal more damage during them, but outside of these windows, fire is very just hollow, man. Your rotation is taking back to, like, I shit you not, a Cataclysm version of the game where you're spamming Fireball, hoping for a proc to crit, and then you use Fire Blast to get a Hot Streak proc going into Pyroblast or Flame Strike. In my opinion, this spec is in dire need of a couple more buttons or some sort of gameplay integration. It is really bad. It's by far the most boring, and it feels underwhelming. I mean, you can see the difference in buttons between my Fire Mage on the left, which is the alpha version of the game, and then on the right is the live version in the War Within right now. It is just night and day, the difference between my bars. Once again, I know this is the alpha. There's going to be a lot of changes, so I'm hoping this spec gets some, because this is a very, very bad spot for Fire Mage. This may sound insane, but if Blizzard wants this new, slow-paced Pyroblast and Flame Strike hit harder style of gameplay, maybe they need to revisit how old combustion used to work, because them getting rid of Phoenix Flames and the whole automatic crit machine gun style of play doesn't really fit in with the brand new Midnight gameplay style philosophy. It's very uncomfortable, it's very stiff, it's boring, easily the clearest loser of Midnight so far. Moving on next, surprisingly, we have the
No! They put Fire Mage and then Destruction Warlock? Dude, they've taken, like, my favorite mage spec and my second or, like, split favorite warlock spec, dude. I love Destruction so much. Oh, man. Why is all the love going to Demonology, dude? There's no way. Okay, let me hear what they have to say first to see if I agree with them or not, but, like, nah, bro. Don't mess with my Destruction spec, bro. Just no.
Destruction Warlock. Now, I don't think this class is a loser per se, because it's nowhere near Fire Mage, but the truth of the matter is that Destruction barely changed at all. Now, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I just would have liked some new flashy buttons or toys to play with. The talent tree has been cleaned up a bit and split down the middle. Left side is all about single target builds with Shadow Burn, Chaos Bolt, Soulfire, stuff like that, where the right side is focused on AoE with Cataclysm, Rain of Fire, Channel Demon Fire, and stuff. It's a little bit on the nose, and it's very plain Jane. I mean, if you're in Rage, you're going to be running the left side build, and if you're a Mythic Plus, you're going to be running the AoE side. And that's really it. There's no flexibility, not really much creativity. Gameplay-wise, it's still the classic Destruction loop. You build your shards with Incinerate, you use your Cataclysm to afflict everyone with Immolate, and then you use your Rain of Fire, Builder Spender style of gameplay. That is literally it. I do really like their Apex talent, though, because visually, it's one of the coolest things I've ever...
Hey, you know what I say? If the boat ain't broken, don't fix it. If it ain't broken, don't fix it, man. And destruction being somewhat the same, or for the most part the same. Core loop is exactly the same. So like, yeah, it's the same builder spender spec you've known for years, just cleaner and easier to tune. Isn't that exactly what they're going for in Midnight though? Like, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, and just make it more clean and easier. I don't know. Just, yeah. I don't need everything to change, by the way. I think it's cool. That's great.
Seen in WoW, you summon these large titan destructive forces to shoot out from the sky and shatter onto your enemies. It is so cool. Check out the visual here. Really, really nice stuff. But destruction, yeah, listen, if you liked it before, it's the same old. Nothing's really changed.
Nice.
It's not going to blow your mind away like Unholy or Demonology, though. Next up, we got to talk about Survival Hunter. Now, this spec is pretty much being rebuilt once again from the ground up, and it's moving away from that awkward middle ground identity between a hunter with a spear and then a guy who throws wildfire bombs. Now, it's more like explosives, grenader, engineer type guy, where you're throwing bombs, blasts, shotguns, all that fun stuff alongside your pet. Now, one thing that is cool is that you can dual wield now, which is interesting. That's never been a thing for survival, so that's a cool little situation happening. But the real shift is that explosives are pretty much being embedded into the kit. You have an ability that is just a Molotov cocktail where you throw it on the ground, it explodes. You have a boomstick, which replaces Fury of the Eagle, and you just channel it, which is cool. And then some other passives like sticky bombs, wildfire shells, and that sort of stuff. You also now have a new ability called Takedown that replaces Coordinated Assault, and it has your pet leap at an enemy and amp your own damage. Mongoose Bite has been redesigned. Listen, I would say the weirdest thing is that their Apex talent is called Raptor Swipe. It just has your pet deal more damage and interact that way. If I'm being honest, I would have liked if they're going to lean into this explosive engineer or bomb style of play. I feel like they should design their Apex talent around something along those lines. I don't love the idea of your pet being the center point of your Apex.
Ah, but like, come on, who plays Survival Hunter anyway? It's just a forgotten spec at this point, huh?
Talent when you're not a Beast Mastery Hunter. So in my opinion, it doesn't really make too much sense. The bottom line is that survival, it technically has an identity. You're sort of that bomb-slinging engineer. The question is, are people going to be liking that class fantasy?
Nope.
It could absolutely be a loser. Let me know what you Survival Hunter mains think about it in the comment section below. Moving on next, though, lastly, for our quote losers, we have the Restoration Shaman. Now, Restoration got one of the biggest simplifications of any healer out there in the game, and depending on who you're asking, it's either a relief or a big red flag, and it's definitely a hot topic right now. Right off the bat, though, Healing Surge is gone, and now Healing Wave is your bread and butter heal. Healing Rain also got buffed to last longer, but I would say the biggest hit comes down to some of your cooldowns. You no longer bring both Healing Tide and Ascendance. You only pick one of them now, and this happened pretty much entirety across the board for healers, but on top of that, for Resto, a lot of their totems got cut. Cloudburst is gone. Earthen Wall is gone. Protection. And Restoration mains have been stripped down entirely. Definitely the most, I would say, out of all the healers. Some players are going to like it. Some players are not. You Resto mains got to let me know about it in the comment section below. I put it in the loser category because I've seen a lot of comments.
Yeah, Restoration Shamans is it's a hit or a miss, depending on who you are, I think. We still have a chain heal, though, don't we? That's pretty important, but for the most part, it's looking kinda not that great, if you ask me. The restoration changes are... It is what it is. Yeah. No one since the last season of Shadowlands. Oh my days, that's a long time ago as well. Damn.
Across social media and Twitter, not really loving it. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up today's video on some of the biggest winners and losers so far in the alpha. If you guys want us to test anything out in particular for you all, let us hear about it in the comment section below. Also, do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, the Comeback Kids are doing a Midnight Epic Edition free giveaway. So click the link in the description below. Follow some of our other platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and X because we are posting on there now. Greatly increase the chance you get this awesome prize from the Comeback Kids. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content, consider subscribing or check out one of the videos you see on screen here to stay up to date on all things Warcraft. My name's Sky for the Comeback Kids. It's an absolute pleasure to make content for you all. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Okay, that was a good video, by the way. Those are the winners and the losers so far based on... This is early alpha testing, by the way, and that really should be said. And to be fair, he did say that. It's early alpha testing. Everything is subject to change. It is currently, as I am on the alpha right now, it is the 5th of October, and if this video goes out as a react, it's going to be way later, by the way, because I have a bunch of reacts scheduled right now, pretty much until the 15th or 16th of October, just so I can fully enjoy the Legion remix. So whenever it comes out, but yeah, it's early October. Midnight probably comes out, if I had to guess, not October. If I had to guess a release date, I'm saying February 26th, by the way. So bookmark that and call out that I called it out. But February 26th, probably rough around that time. In which case, we are 5 months away from release. A lot can happen in 5 months, man. A lot. But for now, those are the winners and the losers so far, based on class changes. It should also be said, it's very subjective, right? Because even shamans being in the gutter, being like the worst class on class changes, it's subjective. Because some people can look at the shaman changes and see the simplification and be like, finally, I only have 6-7 buttons to press. It's way easier to play now. And other people look at that and they think, well, this spec kinda sucks. You lost a bunch of cooldowns. You have to choose 1 out of 2 of major cooldowns like Ascension or Ascendance and then Spirit Tide or Healing Tide. You have to choose 1 now instead of both. So it just depends on who you are. Everything is being simplified by quite a lot. Once again, what I will say is Enhancement feels insane. I love Enhancement a lot. Either way, once again, a good video by the Comeback Kids.